Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Monday, October 16th. And we have a highlighting of the knowing circuit, big time during this transit. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the new transit starts on Friday, October 20th, and the sun is going to move into the gate 50 and the earth is going to move into the gate 3. But before we dive into the specifics of that, let's just talk a little bit about the knowing circuit. So the knowing circuit is the largest subcircuit in the chart, and it is highly intuitive. The energy of it is, it's like you just know things. It's not like you learned it anywhere or nobody told you about it. You just have this deep sense of inner knowing. So as this transit comes up starting on Friday, you might want to just really pay attention to any new insights that you have, any downloads that come in, any new awarenesses, any potentials that arise for you. And even if they kind of don't make sense, if you don't quite know how to understand them or you don't know where they would fit in your life, really honor them as divine inspiration and divine guidance that's coming in. Because that's what it is. It's like it's coming in from the creative intelligence of the universe, and it is dropping in different perspectives and ways of seeing things. Because the knowing circuit is individual circuitry, so it's here to be different, it's here to bring change, it does not fit in, and it's where that evolutionary impulse of humanity runs through the human design chart. And so it's always going to be a little bit like, wow, where did that thought come from, or how do I know that thing? Because it's kind of dropping in highly intuitively, and it's not something you're going to be able to prove. And if somebody is like, where did you get that from? You're not going to be able to say, well, here's my resource or here's my reference. Like, that's not going to happen. So I invite you to cultivate inside of yourself the awareness of and the respect for this kind of intuitive guidance that is coming into you. Because I really believe that, we are all way more intuitive and psychic than we've ever been led to believe, generally speaking, unless you were one of those lucky ones who grew up in a family of people who read tea leaves or something, you have that in your legacy. I have met people like that, but I was not one of them. I grew up in a highly intellectual family, and intuition wasn't really a part of our conversation at all. So I had to really learn how to embrace my intuition and expand my understanding of what even intuition is. So you may be in that situation as well. And I continue, even though I've been really working with my intuition for a long time now, I continue to find ways to cultivate it and expand it. Because I think given the challenges that we have in our world today, the solutions are going to come to us, or even just the next steps are really going to come in through something like the knowing circuit. So I just invite you to receive this as an invitation and an experiment to check out for yourself and see what might be coming through. So the earth moving into the gate 3, which in the I Ching is known as difficulty at the beginning, and in quantum human design is innovation. And it is on the sacral center, and it is in the knowing circuit. So it is an energy for bringing in all of the different insights and knowings that come through that knowing circuit, and that have been already sorted, if you will, by the gate 60, which is its mate. The gate 60, which is really looking at it's a filtering process, if you will, because not every single new idea that we have is something that is the right time for us to work on, or maybe we're not the right person, or maybe it's something that needs a collaboration that isn't ready yet. So there's a lot of different things that need to be ready for an idea to come through and actually come into form. And so the 60 is helping to look like, okay, is that new idea, is that something that's beneficial to us or not? And then once it comes in through there, you can get going with that innovation with the 3. Now, sometimes it can be challenging it can cycle around between that 3 and the 60 down there between the root and and the sacral, because it's really sorting through, is this something we want to move forward or not? Is it something we want to innovate with? Is it something we want to give our energy to and bring into form, right? We want to move it from wave in the quantum world into particle so that it comes into form. So this is what the 3 and the 60 are kind of looking at. And the earth is asking us to really ground ourselves in the possibility of innovations that will be incredibly beneficial, both for us individually and also collectively. And so the invitation here is for you to be looking at what are the innovations that maybe you've been thinking about, that have occurred to you before, but maybe you haven't taken any action on. And just know it could be difficult at the beginning, because when you're bringing in something that is really new and revolutionary and on the leading edge, it can be challenging at the beginning to get that going. So don't let that stop you. Like, let it be something that you can use to hone your craft of bringing things into form. So grounding ourselves as the earth moves into that gate 3 in innovation, in the possibility that we can be receiving the divine guidance, the inspired actions, steps that it's coming to us from superconsciousness, right? And the earth is saying, yes, ground yourself in that. That's what we're highlighting during this transit. And then the sun is going to move into the gate 50, which is in what's known as the defense circuit in traditional human design. It's part of the tribal circuitry. It's also known as the sustainability circuit now in quantum human design. And it is a beautiful, beautiful energy, the 50. It is a teaching energy. It's a nurturing energy. It's called values in traditional human design and nurturing in quantum human design. And so that 50 is how we know who we are as a people. It's how we understand what our standards of behavior are. Standards of behavior, like knowing we don't, use violence in order to get our way. For example, something we teach any of you parents, or you have kids in your life, right? You teach children to learn how to express themselves verbally so that they don't hit each other or throw things at each other, right? That's a standard of behavior that would teach us about who we are as a people. Right? So that's a simple but really clear example. And there are other ones. And there's often a negotiation because different cultures have different values. I do think that among human beings, if we go deep down enough into values, we largely share some really fundamental ones about wanting to care for our families and wanting to create positive energy in the world, wanting to be able to be creative and to be engaged in life and to be connected to spirit. And what that looks like in different cultures is very different, right? And what we might think of as the mores or the the things that we know, oh yeah, that's what they do in that culture. That's what they do, right? And so our invitation in a really multicultural, very diverse world is not to try to necessarily have all the same values, but to receive and to understand other people and their cultural environments and how they know who they are as a people, and to honor and respect that. Now, obviously, sometimes there are things that we may not agree on, right? I mean, I know for me, like the well-being of women and girls is very, very vital to me, and not every culture in the world has that as a value, right? And I do. So we get to look at how do we feel about those things? How do we work with that, right? Because we are here on this world together, and we really are in it together. And so part of our edge, if you will, and this is part of what we can ask that knowing circuit to bring in, these different ideas or different perspectives for us to know how we can actually communicate and collaborate even when some of our values are different. We need that in our world today so that we can not have war, which would be, definitely a step in the right direction. So the 50 helps us know who we are as a people, but at the same time, we want to be smart about, be aware of the dangers of tribalism, right? Because sometimes when people get really embedded in that sense of this is who we are as a people, and they have a really strong sense that their values are correct, sometimes they want to enforce those on others. And that would be the shadow expression of the 50. If you were in a situation either where you wanted to enforce your values or other people were going to enforce their values on you, right? And so the more awakened expression of that is how do we actually communicate about it rather than trying to manipulate and coerce and force others to our will. So this is definitely a leading edge endeavor here on planet Earth right now, and it's becoming more and more significant for us to do that. So during this transit, if we can really embed ourselves into the possibility of innovating our ways of thinking, our ways of being, our ways of being in the world with other people, if we can really innovate that so that we can also honor our values and we can seek some kind of deep commonality, even with people who has very different values than I do. This is really kind of the premise of nonviolent communication, which is that when you get deep inside, most people acknowledge that we have similar needs. But as Marshall Rosenberg says, who's the founder of nonviolent communication, is that we have similar needs, but we have very, very different ways of wanting to get those needs met, right? But if we can seek also some kind of commonality, that can help us evolve beyond our tendency to go into conflict when we feel like, oh, that kind of tribe is different than my kind of tribe, and we've got tribalism, and then we're fighting about that. This is something we need to evolve beyond, and the configuration that's happening with this transit is giving us the opportunity to do that. This kind of inquiry is very central to my book, Feminine Sovereignty, 8 Pillars for Regenerating Ourselves and Our World, which will birth out into the world on November 2nd, and you'll be able to order it on our website, which is femininesovereigntybook.com, and the pre-sale is going to officially open on Thursday, the 18th, and so you can go and order the paperback there if you want to, or you can return on November 2nd and you can order the Kindle version if you prefer, and it's going to be free on November 2nd, the Kindle version. So you can go and get that then, which also helps me just get more eyes on the book. It helps with the algorithm in Amazon. It helps with bestseller status and all of that, so this is a way that you can support me, which I would appreciate. I put out a lot of, content for you, and I would love it if you would like to reciprocate in that way. Plus, you're going to get my book, and it's awesome. I've been having people read it. I've been receiving reviews, and it's really been great. So I hope that you will check it out, and you'll be hearing a lot more about it from me. And like I said, femininesovereigntybook.com. And November 2nd, we're going to have a celebration. One of my mentors, Kia Miller, is going to interview me on Instagram on November 2nd at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And then we're going to have a panel, and other activities are going to happen in the afternoon. So I hope you will set that aside and you'll come and join us to celebrate this really culmination of my life's work. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.